Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the first episode in a series that we're going to dub Planet Coaster Time Lapse. Basically, what we're going to be doing in these are going to be some fairly shorter videos for the most part, and we are going to basically come up with a creative idea. For instance, this episode, the idea was to create a Chief Beef shop and kind of put some sort of sci-fi modern kind of theming around the shop. So as you can see, we just started off with our Chief Beef shop, and we're just kind of planning out what to do here. I didn't really go in with any preconceived notion of the exact kind of thing or exact kind of style that I wanted to use when making this. It just kind of took on a life of its own. So we basically, once I started getting into this, I kind of thought that the Planet Coaster Blue would kind of be a cool touch to add to this. So you can see that I was putting the Planet Coaster Blue on the walls, and I was liking that, and we kind of went with this curved steel roof. Kind of looked a little bit modern, and I just really liked the look and feel of what was going on with that. These few pieces of scenery, just kind of slapping on there and seeing what that looked like. You'll see a lot of this is kind of me just going through scenery and building parts and stuff like that, and thinking, what might be able to go in here and kind of look nice and fit with the theme and the idea that we're going for. Kind of got these little sci-fi caps and structures, and I put that on the edge. It kind of gives it this little bit of almost UFO kind of look coming off the top corners there. Even with these little pieces of scenery down here, putting those in kind of looked a little bit, I don't know, spaceship transporty kind of thing. And I just thought they were kind of neat, and they kind of really set off the front of the building there. And now I just wanted to focus a little bit here on the actual shop window and kind of what that might look like. And I thought this couple pieces of scenery were pretty neat. And here you'll see I'll go in with the little art objects and just kind of add those in. I really like the flexibility that a lot of these art pieces give you, because you can really turn them into almost anything that you want. I like to use them a lot as border pieces, as you kind of see me doing here with this art piece section, which I just color again the same Planet Coaster Blue, or I just use them to set off as I did with the previous little orbs there. Just a little kind of decorative touch. Right here we're changing up the countertop. I kind of wish I would have done a little bit more in the shop with the counter and everything like that, but I kind of just, like I said, it kind of took on a life of its own, and I ended up just kind of going with the flow on this one. Again, I'm going into the art pieces, using the Planet Coaster Blue, and just really trimming out those walls. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with the front of the shop. I kind of had an idea that eventually I was just going to put on some Chief Beef theming and stuff like that, or maybe some burger signs or something to that effect. I really wasn't sure, but then I kind of, with this awning, even the Planet Coaster white awning, which I wish you could change to the blue awning, but you can't change the color of that piece, so I just kind of left that with white. Got the idea of putting that one there because since we were going with the Planet Coaster Blue, that we might as well just kind of roll with a few Planet Coaster theming objects as well, and just kind of mix match all of this with the sci-fi metal kind of spaceship transport thing that we were kind of going for. So you see me putting in these little things here, which I thought were kind of neat pieces, and I kind of liked using them in that way, setting them into the wall like that. Again, I think they're just keypad pieces, but one of the fun things about doing builds like this is you kind of get to use a lot of the different pieces of scenery in ways that you may not have dreamed or imagined using them previously. And it's also a good way to, if you just kind of do something like this where you come up with an idea and you say, I'm going to do this. In this case, I was like, I'm going to do a Chief Beef shop. I'm going to theme it with a modern sci-fi look and just kind of roll with it and go with the flow. You actually learn a lot more of the building pieces and the scenery pieces and kind of how to maneuver them around and how they're going to work together. This in particular piece right here I really liked because it had some sort of motion to it. I'm not even sure what it really was. It's some sort of laser cutter mover type thing. I don't really even recall exactly what it was, but I just liked that it had movement. It gave the building movement. I was hoping I was able to put it on the front of the building, but it just really wasn't working in the space that I had left for it. So I ended up putting it on the back. Added a couple of these little smokestacks. Every time I would drive by like a Burger King or a fast food shop like that, I always see like smoke kind of billowing out of the top little chimneys on there. So that's kind of why I added those. These pieces really capped off nicely what we did on the edge there. The only problem I had was that I couldn't change the color of those pieces. It wouldn't let me. It's weird because I could change the flat walls to the Planet Coaster blue, but I couldn't change those. So I kind of came up with this creative way here just to kind of mask that. It almost made it look metally. I believe that's stone, but it kind of gave it that same gray metal kind of feel. My only problem was after I did that, I noticed that my side pillars were kind of sticking through, so we just had to go ahead and just grab those and just tuck them back in there just to where they weren't really sticking out anymore. So now we pretty much have a nice outline of our building, and the rest is just going to come down to a little bit of detailing in between here. So I switched it to night because any building you can't skimp on lighting. The lighting's got to be nice. It's got to set off those details, otherwise you're never going to see them at night. So why make a building with nice details and nice theming that you're never going to see unless it's daytime? So one thing you don't want to do is skimp on your lighting. You always want to make sure your lighting's nice. So this little side area, I just decided to add in some windows and stuff like that, just to give the building a little bit more architectural detail than I was, had without it. Especially if it's a building, there's windows. People inside, working inside the building, need to be able to see outside. So we added a few lights, which I thought were kind of neat. But I wasn't sure which way I wanted to aim the light, but I didn't want to take away from those lanterns that we placed inside the sides there, because I thought that those lanterns really gave that a nice glow, and those little up lights were kind of bright and different and more modern-y. So as you can see, I'm kind of taking those same lights here, added a few of those to the front, and this is the idea I was kind of mentioned earlier, where I wanted some Chief Beef theming for the front, just to set off the building, put the title on there. I like this one because it glowed, and it really gave a nice kind of feeling at night. Now my one concern here was, what am I going to do to fill in this gap on the edge? This little gap we have between our bottom semicircle and the top little spaceshipy probe circle kind of thing. So I was thinking maybe railings, maybe posts, and you can see I'm experimenting with a little bit more of this sci-fi maneuvering, moving pieces. Finally settled on this piece of landing gear that I rotated around and maneuvered in there, and I thought kind of looked neat. It was almost like poles, but they were kind of a I don't know, kind of looked metal, rubbery kind of thing. So just kind of started lining those in there, just to enclose those little end caps. Took a little bit of maneuvering because they were kind of rotated already, if you will. They weren't a straight up and down piece. They were at an angle, so it took a little bit of maneuvering to get them into the right spot, but eventually we got it in there. So I just copied this and put that on the other side. And that's pretty much what the building is going to be. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff I ended up adding after that. But nevertheless, I felt at the top of the building needed something. I wasn't sure what. I wasn't really happy when I added this cone originally because I thought that it kind of made the building look like a clown hat or like someone smashed an ice cream cone on the top of it. So I kind of went and made this circle. I was like, maybe if I put this circle on it, it's gonna give it a little more theme. You know, maybe it'll spark something where I can add something else there. So the original thought was to add some sort of burger theming since it's a burger joint. But when I put this piece on there, I knew that that was the piece for the top because it had that Planet Coaster theming, it had the Planet Coaster coloring, it also glows at night, and that's why I just knew it was the perfect piece. Sometimes you just put it there and you just know that that's the one for that spot. I also wanted to include these police lights because he's Chief Beef, you know? He's the Chief Beef, the Chief of Police. Yeah, I know that was terrible. But anyway, I wanted those because the Chief needs some sort of police lights. Come on now. He's got to have them. And they do that cool little glowy thing at night, which is interesting. Makes the building a little bit more interesting than it was before. Touched it off with a few little AC units and a light on the back, just because you can't neglect all the sides of your building. And that was pretty much the end of the building part there. Just decided to show you guys how to just set it off with a little bit of pathing and scenery building around the end here. But I didn't particularly like this spot where the path didn't quite meet up with the building on the back side. So I just threw in these little bits of grates. Thought it was kind of an interesting little touch there. And like I said, I just capped off the end of this with a little bit of scenery, a few trees, a few sci-fi benches, and trash cans. Thought these little street lights kind of went in there nicely just to give it that little almost like courtyard kind of feel, a little bit of uplighting on the building. Just made it a little bit more interesting to the eye. Now if you want to go and you want to download this from my workshop on the Steam library, feel free. Silly McGooserton. Look it up, download it, put it in your game, use it, enjoy it. I know the people of your park will enjoy it, so I hope you do too. And we're just getting close to time now, so I'm gonna leave it off right there. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video in the new Planet Coaster Time Lapse series. We're gonna be doing more like this, you know, just kind of whenever I get the feel for it. So, if you liked the video, please like, please subscribe, and please watch the ones that we're going to be coming out with. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.